Good evening and welcome back to the 19th Hole Live. This is on In Between Media, YouTube. Make sure you're liking the page, subscribe to everything that we do here. Like this video, subscribe to the page. See, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. But we are going to talk Pebble Beach. We're going to spin it back to last week at the Farmers at Torrey Pines because we got some victory laps to take for Torrey Pines. But we're going to take some more because guess what this week is? Shout out NorCal. Let's go. 19th Hole Live. All right, welcome in. We got Conor at @Cough_DFS on Twitter. I believe there's some good tidings afoot because I just got a nice payout from my sports book, and it's not like I'm not used to that, but it was a nice one. Like before we hit the spin it back promo, I want to pat myself on the back for betting Max Homa outright and for picking his fellow Cal Bear, shout out NorCal, to get top 5 and top 10. Check Colin Morikawa. We were both on Colin. Some guy named Connor told me to play some Keegan Bradley, and so I did. And Keegan Bradley was runner-up. So we're full on awesome. What are you drinking to celebrate, Connor?
A little bit of Knob Creek rye. I got the old vintage bottle that we were talking
dusty
about.
Bottle.
Yeah, we were joking a little bit. There's actual rye in this one, I think. It's got some nice heat to it. But I also wanted to say before we get too far into the show, somebody needs to start a tally right now of how many times you say NorCal in this one show. So I think we're at 5 already.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Craig Reith has got the drinking game going. I got my Angel's Envy, the bourbon, not the rye. The rye is like $90, so I like cheap rye because it just tastes better. Expensive rye is good for special occasions, but Angel's Envy bourbon, it's half the price of their rye. I think it's pretty good quality juice, especially for the price, and a really cool bottle.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. $90 on the rye. I've had it. It's not bad, but it's spendy. It's spendy.
It's a good rye, but it's not $90 rye.
No. Especially when, even the current Knob Creek rye, if you can grab a bottle of it, you're usually not over $40-$50.
No, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking between Sazerac at 25 up to, I'll pay 70 for Whistle Pig. For the piggyback or something like even a little bit nicer, you can go up to 150 or more on some of those Whistle Pig ryes. But for Angel's Envy being 90, it's just too much.
Way too much. There's about 2-3 bottles I would buy with that $90 that would just annihilate.
Yeah. All rise. I would get
yeah, exactly.
But anyway, that's great. I like the Angel's Envy. I love the Knob Creek. Knob Creek does great everything. They know what they're doing over there. Great distillery. This is Pebble Beach week, and obviously Pebble Beach Golf Links is in the Monterey area, which is considered the Northern California coastline. Even though it's a little too Central California for my liking, I will claim this as the only PGA Tour event in NorCal. And I know you're going to talk about a couple of guys from Northern California who are going to play well in this tournament. I won't disagree with you on all of them. I promise.
I won't proclaim NorCal when I say I'm either.
But let's officially spin it back to last week at the Farmers because I want to talk about how awesome we are. So spinning back, we're red hot this year. Both Connor and I are picking outright winners all season. That's just what we're gonna do. we picked on Siwoo Kim a couple weeks ago. This week or last week we were coming up on the Farmers Insurance Open. Tough course. Torrey Pines South was 3 of the 4 rounds. North had plenty of teeth, especially on Thursday, round 2, where the winds picked up. We saw both courses really take over and really bite these players up. But we nailed the winning score. We said between 10 and 15 under par. Winning score, I believe, was 12 under par. And I was heavy on a Max Homa 22-1 outright bet, and by golly, he pulled it off. And I needed John Rahm and Sam Ryder to fall apart on Saturday on the final round. They did. Homa caught fire. Morikawa did really well and finished in a solo for third. I cashed 3 tickets on last Sunday before the NFL slate wiped me back out.
Oh yeah, the NFL did me dirty last weekend.
Really bad.
But yeah, it was actually, I mean, we are on a bit of a heater, knock on wood, but we seem to be rolling quite well. And everything that I said about Keegan Bradley last week, I mean, came to fruition. I mean, he held his own in the wind. The low ball flight looked good. Approach game looked solid. He rallied. He stayed out of his own way. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for what did he do on the 17th? Was the 17th that got him? He doubled out or singled or something?
It seemed like he just kind of compounded the issue, and it was just he didn't have enough steam to get it done. Max Homa, mad props to the friend of the show, social media darling, semi-retired. The guy is a new dad. He's humble. He played golf in Northern California at Cal Berkeley. The dude's just an animal. Everybody loves him. You can't help but like the guy that's humble in a victory like that, and then goes out and plays Monday skins and wins $400 with a 65 at his home course down there in LA. So
I saw that Golf Digest post. I was like, come on now.
he's just on fire. The guy keeps winning. He's just as hot as John Rahm is, and he's probably gonna take another few weeks off and come back for. Was going to play at Riviera probably.
I would think.
It's so amazing to watch golf played at that level, where even John Rahm had one blow up hole on the back 9 there, and Max Homa just kept going. Like he just every time he had a bogey to slip him up, he came right back and scored on holes where guys were not scoring.
Yeah, and I mean, all the outright bet stuff aside, we don't talk about this as nearly as much in our roll it back, but our DFS, like if you had played any combination of our top picks,
you
Keegan,
Morikawa, Homa, some of our value guys were on fire. Like my guy Tano Goya was one of the early or the third round up at the top, and he had a really rough Saturday final round. But then I also had what was his name? It was Aaron Rye, first round leader. If you had a first round leader bet on Aaron Rye, it was like 90-1, and cashed it. He shot Friday or Thursday ate him alive on the South Course. I think he went 65-78 or something like that.
Yeah, it was gross. It was gross.
I jinxed him though, because I said everybody that was on the North Course on round 1 is gonna get eaten alive on the South Course in round 2, except for Aaron Rye, because I have a 200-1 ticket on him. And sure enough, he was the one that got eaten up the most.
Yeah, that's a monster number he put up for you. But I mean, some of the where I was going with that is, some of our ownership projections last week were spot on and even a little bit better. I mean, Keegan ended up coming in at only 7% rostered, which is incredible. And Colin Morikawa, who we thought was going to end up sub 10%, hit it pretty much right on the number. It was right about 10%. So even some of the movement plays that we decided to fade up top in lieu of other stuff, Taylor Montgomery and a lot of the bigger GPPs was still sub the ownership projection that a lot of places had him. So a lot of those leverage or pivot plays that we talked about last week really, really came to fruition. So, we had a solid week in DFS and excellent week in betting. So take note, we'll try and get some more money for everybody this week.
I mean, we are pretty damn good at this thing. So let's do it again. Pebble Beach. What do you say we just jump right in, do the drop, for club twirls because I gotta lay into some bets. You got some long shots.
Well, you're in the right state, so let's get it moving for you.
I do have some walking around money after last week. So I did throw some into the MGM Sportsbook online. I popped in there, got registered. They only do outrights or head-to-heads, which I'm okay with because there are some outrights that I don't really know if I need to do too many top 5 or top 10 bets, even though some of these long shots some of these top guys are getting top 20 lines in this tournament at Pebble Beach, even though they're pretty nasty odds. Like Jordan Spieth top 20 is like minus 240. And what are you even doing here? That's not real money, especially in a huge field like this with a bunch of random guys that are going to play well on this type of course, and then they go to the rest of the PGA Tour and they're struggling to make the cut.
Well, that's of course history bias. Everybody wants to jump on Jordan Spieth this week, betting and DFS, and it's like, well, what's he done lately? I mean, he's fine, he's adequate.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are short numbers for one of the more volatile.
9-1 for a guy who hasn't played well lately, and another 9-1 number on another guy that I can't even fathom is this short. Are you seeing that too?
I'm a little bit better than you, but Fitz is short.
Yeah, Fitz at 9-1.
Yep, and then I'm also showing Hovland at 10-1, which that one.
And I like Hovland in DFS, but that's not enough for me.
Love Hovland in DFS. I'm 100% with you. Probably one of the few things we'll agree on in DFS. But if you look at even how the books are pricing this stuff this week, it just seems like somebody ran a tournament history log and just went top to bottom with best performances. And I think if you're sharp this week, there's some really good value on the books.
I put 3 outright bets on MGM today. I put a total of 3 units on the board at risk. I'm not doing too much exposure this week because, like you said, it's a total crapshoot. This is going to be really tough to gauge who's going to win. But I got my shortest odds guy is 50-1. And I'm going with Scott Stallings because the guy's an animal. He's playing well. He's a gamer. I love watching Scott Stallings because he's always going to make the cut. And lately, he's been making enough birdies to contend in these tournaments and has won a couple in the last year or so. So give me Scott Stallings getting no respect at 50-1. Plus 5,000 for a guy of his caliber. I'm eating that up all day.
Yeah, and we've actually liked Stallings a few times so far this year, and he's got a good track record going this season. Hopefully, he keeps rolling with it because he's got a pretty good game when he's on. Mm-hmm. I do like that number. Mine starts a little bit higher. I'll go back to the well on Tom Hoagie. Metrics wise,
defending champ.
And he's holding. I mean, like, we thought for sure we were going to kick him off our player pool permanently for the season.
We tried.
And he just keeps coming back.
We tried so hard to kick him off.
And you can have him as deep as 25-1, most 22-1 in most places.
But for a guy like him, that's about as high as I want to go. And where I'm betting, it's still like 22, 23-1, and I'm just not there on Hoagie. These numbers on these mediocre guys are super expensive, and that's why I started at 50-1 with a guy I actually like and believe in. Where if he does win the tournament, I'm actually getting a nice payout because all these other guys that are getting shorter odds, I'm just not a huge fan of this week. And Pebble Beach, it's Pebble Beach for 2 of the rounds. First 3, they're playing Pebble, they're playing Spyglass, and they're playing Monterey Peninsula. Spyglass is tougher than Pebble on certain days, so. If you're looking to bet first round leaders, make sure it's at the Monterey Peninsula because that course is a piece of cake. Yeah, a piece of cake on the first round leader. But most of these sites are pretty sharp to that too, where they'll have a first round leader for each course that you can bet, and that's a smart way to go. Is pick a first round leader, bet them for Monterey Peninsula if it's a combined field, but Some of these guys like Hoagie line up really well. Of course, obviously defending champion of the event, but at the same time, he's not like that constant contender like Spieth has been before, Hovland has been before, Fitz has been before. That's the reason these guys are super popular and they're getting short odds because they're the only guys that like people outside of us with our depth of PGA Tour knowledge, it doesn't go much farther than those three guys in this tournament for the lay person making bets. So I'm trying to open it up to guys that I think have the potential to win me a bet and win me a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, and I don't want to belabor Hoagie too much because there's plays down farther that I think I like that we could talk about more. But I will say the thing about Hoagie is, I've already knocked it a few times talking about the other guys. Like I'm not a tournament history guy. Like that's never.
And there is some correlation here with the winners finishing 16th or better in the past before. So yeah, there is some of that there, but people are going way heavy on it.
Yeah, but these are also courses where on a given weekend you can have a 10-stroke swing on that leaderboard year to year. So like my whole take on Tom Hoagie is of those, call it 20-1 and lower. I think based on his current form, what he's been able to put together so far this season, I think he's as live, if not more live, to win over those other, I guess, top end players. So, I mean, like I said, that's as short as I'm going to go. But I think if you want to play something that has
I'm gonna put
better
a
feel,
unit on. I'm gonna do a Tom Hoagie unit right now. I don't know if I want to though because he's only 20-1 on MGM. Is that too short for you?
I'd probably still do it. Okay. It's just hard to poke holes in his game. And like when we get into DFS, I'll go through some of the statistics that I like for him this week. I mean, all things being equal, I think that he's got the best chance in that top tier. But getting down a little ways, there were a couple of guys that I liked a lot. David Lipsky is one of them that's jumping off the page on some of my metrics.
Yep.
I'm seeing him as deep as 70-1 right now.
So deep.
So that's a good
55-1 on MGM.
So yeah, and I'll tell you the 70 is at DK. So if you got DK Sportsbook,
not in Nevada, darn it.
Davis Riley is another guy that's down there in the 60 to 65-1. Has the right skill set, hasn't done much this year. So, and then outside of that, my deepest one this week, you can go fishing all you want, but I'm going to stop at Russell Knox. And I'm seeing him around 80-1 in most spots. Russell Knox quietly has been performing at a top tier level. He's been scoring. He's been making cuts. The other thing I like about Russell Knox is if we do end up dealing with any kind of wind or inclement weather, Russell Knox is actually a better player in those conditions. Yep. And it's a coastal deal, which is also in favor of Russell Knox. So Russell Knox at 70 or 80-1, which is like, again, what you're going to see in most spots. That's a pretty live play, I think.
Yeah, and I've taken a couple extra darts. I have Lipsky on my card already at 55-1, so I'm with you on Lipsky. He lines up so perfectly with this setup. He's playing great right now. I wish I had more of him in DFS the last few weeks because he's been running really hot. And hot golfers stay hot at Pebble Beach. It's not overly tough. It's not like 2000 Tiger Woods tough where he was the only guy under par for the tournament. It's not like that. When the regular tour event, the Pro-Am comes through, they set this thing up super easy. The weather is supposed to be perfect. There's no reason not to go after a guy that's playing really well like Drew Lipsky. That's why 55-1 or 70-1 like you found him, that's incredible. I went down to Scott Stallings at 50-1 because I like him there. But, I mean, every time I take a week off of Sung Young Kim, he goes off and does it. And this guy's red hot. He's coming at 66-1 on MGM. I'm sure even better on DraftKings. But the guy keeps performing. And after he had a kind of a rough performance 2 weeks ago, I was like off of him at Torrey Pines. And this guy comes out and lights it up and made me look like an idiot because I love the guy. I love the way he plays golf. And, of course, I'm off him for 1 week and he goes ballistic.
To be clear, he made you look like an idiot? Or is that just
more like an idiot? He confirmed to a lot of people.
Hey, I got one, and just so you can roast me real quick before we wrap up betting, Webb Simpson, 125 to 1.
No, he's dust.
I'd throw some money at that.
Kurt Kitayama 80 to 1, and Kevin Streelman at 100 to 1. Those are my long shots.
I like Streelman. Streelman's a good call.
Streelman's played so well here before. All these years, Streelman is a Pebble Beach staple on the leaderboard.
Kitayama rates out well for me, but I don't see him winning.
I know you hate him.
I don't see him winning. I don't see him winning. If you can get a good number on a top 5, top 10, top 20 even.
Yeah,
I think that's too. I don't see him winning this week, but I think he's a great DFS play. I think he fits in perfectly. He's guaranteed 3 rounds. These are courses he knows. I think he's going to score you points, but I just don't see him winning the tournament, which at that number even feels a little bit short, in my opinion, on him.
On 80?
It does a little bit.
But it's Pebble Beach, man. Shout out NorCal. NorCal guys can play Pebble Beach. I've walked Pebble Beach. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're gonna have guys like Mav McNeely, Kurt Kitayama, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa's not in the field, and neither is Homa, but these guys from the area, there's so much to be said. Guys from South Carolina playing Hilton Head. You're playing those guys because of familiarity. That's why in the Florida swing, all these guys play in Florida year round, and they live in Florida. And so the Florida swing, you can almost just throw a dart and you can't guess. But West Coast swing, there's not that many guys from this area. So I think there is an advantage there.
Kurt's day is coming. I just don't think it's this weekend.
We'll see.
We will see.
All right. So any other long shots? You said your Webb Simpson 125. I hate that. I think that's a ridiculous donation. Webb Simpson hasn't been good since I was shitting my pants in my diaper.
Eric Barnes, I like a little bit. Pops on some modeling. And he's down there around 150 to 1, 175 in some spots. I am seeing a 250 to 300 on my boy Nico. But that's a FOMO bet, just because I think he'll do something.
I gotta feel something.
No one else should bet that. But that is a long shot. I'm taking a look at.
Let's see who's down here that just. I see Nico 300 to 1. Oh, it's rough down here, man. It's so rough.
Novak at 370, which is what I'm seeing in a couple of spots. He's done a little bit lately, and in this format, I don't know. That's something you throw a couple bucks at, but maybe play it linked with a T10 or something like that. But he does have some recent form that maybe lends itself to doing well here. So that's somebody way down there. That if you
Tano Goya.
Yeah, what's he coming in at?
250.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I wish I had
$1 on Tano Goya to win 250. Is he makes birdies. When he's hot, he makes birdies.
I kind of like Novak over Goya, but
I don't like Novak at all. But he's that little short type player that can play well at Pebble and nowhere else. Yeah, I get it. I think both of us can outdrive Novak.
Well, and Lord knows you can outdrive me. So.
All right. Let's get going on DFS. We have some very nice leverage plays on the board. Do you want to talk about the course before we hit the intro? Because where the course is mainly Pebble Beach,
yeah, I can run it down. Then we can intro in for sure.
Yeah.
So 3-course rotation, like Bo already said. We're going to get 54 holes of golf before the cut. Little bit different this week. It's T60 and ties instead of T65. To be honest, especially in DFS, as where DFS is concerned, that shouldn't really affect how you're rostering people, because if you're playing for a T65 guy to make the cut, you built your lineup wrong. So T60 and ties, like I said, to be perfectly honest, this tournament sucks. And I would, as DFS goes, I would probably manage my bankroll. I would probably invest more on the betting side that we just went over. You stand to have better hits on that, to be transparent. because this will be a crapshoot. It is a pro-am. There's some guys in here that like just are here because. But anyways, first course, Pebble Beach, just a shade under 7,000 yards, about 6,850, 6,900. Par 72, obviously a coastal course, one of the most iconic locations on the tour. Wider fairways than most people anticipate, but they are
tiny greens. Tiny greens.
Super tiny greens. And the other thing too that a lot of people don't realize is the bunkers are so strategically placed on this course that landing spots, especially off the tee, are tricky.
Forced layups everywhere.
Yep, forced layups for sure. And then on the par threes too, you got a lot of false fronts and you got a lot of like almost 270-degree coverage on bunkers. Couple that with the ocean does come into play on certain holes. And if you get any kind of wind, the wind does kind of swirl here. Ball breaks funky, even though the greens roll out slow and don't have a lot of.
The ball does not carry at all at sea level right there on the ocean. It's the northern coast of California isn't like LA. It's not Orange County. It's not warm.
Well, it's the smog that holds it down there, isn't it?
Yeah, the water is freezing cold, and it's that thick marine layer that you get out there. So if the wind picks up, it's going to cause some havoc. Pebble Beach shows some good teeth when the wind's blowing because it just takes the ball and moves it more than like a 10-mile-an-hour wind at Pebble is a little heavier than somewhere else.
And you do have a fair amount of elevation change too, even like second shot to green. There's some kind of blind approaches, things like that. And to Bo's point about the some of the humidity, some of the fog, so on and so forth. I think it was last year or the year before, we had about a 3-hour wait on first tee to get this tournament going, which, also translates to heavier, denser air, more saturation across the course. So while weather isn't supposed to be an issue, it is something that you definitely will want to check out, especially as the weekend evolves, just because the weather changes on a dime here. Right now it's supposed to be awesome. That could change. Going into Spyglass, this one actually of the two courses is tougher either way. It's tougher with good weather. It's tougher with bad weather.
Trees everywhere.
Tons of trees, narrower fairways, larger greens, but way more undulation, way more speed. These are rolling out usually about plus 2-3 on the stimp compared to Pebble Beach. So it can be a tricky transition for golfers to go from Pebble Beach to Spyglass because of that change.
If you land on the wrong tier of the green at Spyglass, you're absolutely screwed.
Yes.
I know that from experience because I've been to the Pro-Am and I walked with VJ Singh, Phil Mickelson, and there was a back pin placement and Phil was hitting an approach and spun it back too far. And he was on the front of the green when the hole's in the back and he had like 100-foot putt straight up 2 tiers and he couldn't even hit it hard enough to get up to the right tier on one putt and ended up double bogeying the hole, even though he found the fairway.
It's when you pull out the old pitching wedge.
Pretty much. From the front of the green, it was almost like a 40-yard pitch.
Good Lord. And to Bo's point, I think it's the first 4 or 5 holes on this course are like true coastal, real similar to Pebble Beach. Yeah. But then it goes kind of back inland. You got a lot more tree cover.
Lots of trees. And they hang over the fairway. Like you have some tight areas to hit your tee shots into. And then, of course, you have to hit the right number with your approach or you're going to be making some really challenging putts or chips around the green. That's going to be the challenge if there is one for this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that Spyglass will be what makes or breaks people's overall finishing place at this one. Monterey, I mean, not a whole lot to say about it. I mean,
piece of cake.
Yeah, piece of cake. 7,000 yards, par 71. Flat, wide fairways, big greens. Nothing.
That's the Pro-Am course.
Yeah, this is 100% though. It's to make the guys that are tailing around the pros all week feel better about themselves. So, and everybody only gets one day there, which is fine. I don't, you'll have some highs or you'll have some low scores on that day, but I think the other two courses will equalize the people that can shoot a bona fide Muni course versus what usually rates out to be in the top 10, 2 of the hardest courses on the PGA. So
I miss Poppy Hills.
Stats wise, a couple things I looked at before we get into DFS. I did look at approach, obviously. Did look at putting. Putting's no walk in the park on either of the two main courses this week.
Poana.
Yep, POA all the way through. So yeah, we love POA. I tried to dial in short irons and specifically wedges and scrambling this week because there is a
strokes
lot
gained around the green.
Yep, a lot of that going on. And then DK scoring, which I usually dial up on my model anytime that we have a 3-round guaranteed tournament. So DK scoring's in there, birdie or better. Obviously, we want guys that are scoring those DK points, and then bogey avoidance, just because we don't like people giving them back. And then I did have a small metric that I put in there just in case the wind kicks up, just to throw a little bit of a kicker into my model. I wanted guys that were good without wind, but could still hang if there is.
Good. Yeah, I mean, in approach distance, I'd say between 100 and 125 is the key distance to look at if you're going to zoom in on the appropriate approach distances. It is a short course, and even though there are short forced layups, it doesn't mean that these guys aren't still reaching these holes pretty easily. It just means that if you're a bomber, you're not getting any advantage over the guy who hits at 275. That's kind of what Pebble does. It's a great equalizer where everybody's hitting into the same green from a relatively similar spot. So you're going to see guys from the fairway hitting out of divots quite a bit because it's just specific landing spots. And so your approach might be straight up the hill with the wind whipping into your face from a divot, and you got to deal with it.
Yep, 100%. And that's the funny thing about some of these landing areas, especially at Pebble, is there's not a single guy playing this weekend that doesn't have a club in their bag that can land in that spot. So,
yep. All right, let's hit it. The no trunk slams.
The club is well. This would be a wrestling slam.
I love that.
That drop better never go away.
No, it's great. No trunk slams. DFS. We're doing DraftKings. I'm in Nevada, so I can't play DraftKings, but I'm sending some lineups over to Connor so he can proxy my my lineups. He's already made fun of the first one I sent over.
Yeah, we won't be playing that lineup.
That one's off. No chance.
And I'll be honest, like I already alluded to this, and I've watched a few shows today, like a few other industry people, and the people they're on are so far down on my model. My model is
we're smarter than those people anyway.
God, I hope so, because otherwise this is going to make me feel like an idiot on Monday.
Hey, but I think it's better to have a different model because especially in DFS, what we're looking for is more using the metrics that are the predictive ownership. That's important for how you compare to other people. And if the guys that you like aren't chalky, you might as well just ride it and trust your model and your numbers, because we've been bitten in the ass trying to follow the consensus because our guys were coming in low owned and we were wondering why, when in reality we should just stuck to our guns. Like Jason Day a couple of weeks ago, that still ticked me off that the guy he's having some sort of renaissance and we were a week late on it.
God, we got to have Seth go back and snip that. Both of us just
say
coming and hawing over Jason Day. Like, how is he this good in our model?
It happens.
It does happen. Ownership, though, actually is going to be probably a bigger part of what I talk about on a lot of these plays, because ownership is so like congested amongst about 20 guys. Like, and I'm saying that with all these guys projected to be 12% or higher. So it looks to me like it's not a whole lot of stars and scrubs. It looks like a lot of balanced lineups, which here makes sense. I mean, you don't want to get sucked into some deep dives on some guys when you don't really need to. Like, there's a lot of quality in the 9s and the 8s here that you can start your roster with. So
that was how that lineup was built that I sent you.
I know it was, and it makes sense. God, it just bothers me when you do things before I have the chance to like take credit for anything.
Logical stuff.
I'll kick it off though. I'm going to start with Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
And not for a whole lot of good reasons, other than I'm going to get a little bit of rostership break up at the top. Everybody wants to play Fitz,
Jordan
who
Spieth and Spieth.
yeah, and Spieth. But I want, and I already said it in our chat earlier, but I'll put it out into the world. Not only do I not think Fitz wins this week, I don't think Fitz wins this season. So
I know we both hate him.
So I am not touching Fitz. I don't care what he's doing. I'm not playing the narrative of every third tournament, all of a sudden he wins a tournament. I'm not doing that nonsense.
The only reason I'm going to limit myself on Fitz is because of ownership. But he is number one in my model by a great margin. So I can't quit him, even though I don't like him. He's not down to our Jason Day where I think he's just washed up. I haven't seen Fitz play very much lately. And I know we both don't like playing him in DFS, generally speaking, but he was by a wide margin my top golfer in the model. So I'm going to play some Fitz, but because he's very chalky, I love the Hovland pick. His short game is fantastic when it comes to not around the greens. That's the one thing that you can say about Hovland is he can't chip to save his own life.
And he has gotten markedly better on that. But the other thing too is, and everybody that's reading any article this week will read this, but Hovland was a past winner here, won the 2018 amateur here. So, I mean, there is some of that previous course experience baked in a little bit with Hovland. But the things I like about him is he is not one of those guys that's going through a swing change. He's not one of those guys that has two swing coaches right now. Like his game is what his game is. Fitz is trying to add 20 yards to his drive. Jordan Spieth is working with a team of guys trying to get his swing right and get his putt stroke right. Hovland's just doing Hovland things. And so I think Hovland is going to come into this with better confidence than those other two guys. And again, this is one of those narratives that I rarely follow the narrative, but this one, I think Hovland just has a better mind space this week than Spieth and Fitz. So,
and his numbers pop in my model for the approach from 100 to 125. That's going to be a key distance, and he's really good in that area.
Well, and he's also number one in DK points scored over the last 24 rounds.
Yeah, he makes birdies.
Yeah.
We like birdies.
Birdies are better gained. Guess who number one is? Yeah. Obviously.
He's going to be the kind of guy that puts up a 63 at Monterey Peninsula with the 3 birdie streak bonus and all that fun stuff. He might make some eagles on these. I mean, they're par 72s. They got 4 par 5s to take advantage of. And especially at Pebble where those par 5s are right there, you can get at them.
And he's got the distance too to be able to get on into on most of these par 5s across the courses. So I like that. Tom Hoagie, you already alluded to who your number one was. Tom Hoagie is number one in my model. That should be no surprise. Anybody who runs a model, unless you really tweak it to kind of exclude Tom Hoagie.
I couldn't get him outside the top 5.
Yeah, he's going to be popping.
I tried. I really did. I tried so I could say, hey, according to me, he's not that good, but I couldn't do it. He's good.
Yeah, the only problem I got with Hoagie again is the ownership piece, right? At 10K, I'm probably gonna have to kind of limit my exposure to Tom Hoagie. I can't match the field at 20% on Tom Hoagie.
No.
I just can't do it.
No.
So, and I certainly am not going to try and match the field right below that with Mav McNeely, who objectively I think is a good play, but Mav at a chalky 18 to 20%, which is his projection right now. Like that's craziness. Well,
he grew up in Monterey, so in the Bay Area, so he's played Pebble a few million times, and that's the narrative is the guy from the same exact area, the coastal area by Monterey and Pebble Beach, is going to do well here. But how about you pointed out the Europeans guy. We mentioned Fitz obviously, but you talked about Russell Knox from Scotland. They like these coastal courses. I like Seamus Power. Seamus Power puts the lights out, and guys that can put the lights out and chip as well as Seamus Power and make birdies like Seamus Power, they're going to get a lot of attention from me at a lot lower ownership than the guys around him.
And Seamus Power, to your point on projected, is looking about 14-ish.
That's not bad.
Well, it's not for a guy at 9,800 because that to me, I mean, there are a lot of ways to differentiate your roster. If 14% of the field is starting at Seamus Power, I can go up, I can go way down. Like there are a lot of ways that I can use him as a cornerstone in my lineup. And to Bo's point, like, good driver of the golf ball, great approach game right now, has a lot of looks at birdie. And when he's putting lights out. So I'm 100% with you on Seamus Power. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, my last guy in this group is he's one of your DK points darlings. The guys, he's also going to be a friend of the show because he wears that fancy bucket hat. Joel Damon, absolute gamer animal, not going to pick up ownership, and he's averaging 80 fantasy points a week on DraftKings, and you can't shake your stick at that because it is what it is. The guy just performs. He makes cuts. He sneaks into the top 10 every once in a while. He's got 3 this season. Only missed 1 cut. That's what we're looking for on a course like Pebble Beach, where you need guys that A, are going to make the cut, but B, can pile on the points on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of Joel Damon. I love the bucket hat, of course. I just like him as a human being too.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude to root for. He's out there laughing it up, having a good time. Like he's one of those guys that genuinely loves the fact that he's alive and playing golf. And
yeah,
I can get behind that, especially in a pro-am. Like this is going to be a
doesn't
great.
Take himself too seriously.
Yeah, he's going to be out there just having a good time. So yeah, to close that out, and the only one I wanted to throw out quick, and he's chalk, so play at your own risk, is Andrew Putnam, who Bo and I have talked about is on a heater, and we try not to walk away from a heater, but I'll have some of them, but 20% Putnam.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's a little deep, but I will say
are so deep that I'd rather just go head first into this area here because there's some great options in the 8s.
Yeah, and I came in hot earlier talking before the show that I really like Putnam this week, and I still really like Putnam this week, but it may end up being more of a bet than a DFS play. It's going to be really hard to get leverage using Putnam.
Yeah, I'm with you there. When I saw that, I was like, you know what, that's not quite worth it for me because he's 9,700. That's a lot for a guy like that to be chalky. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So my thoughts on Davis Thompson. I don't think he's in the field this week. I'm looking right now. I was making sure.
He's not.
My overall thoughts of Davis Thompson is I think I hate I hate Van Rooyen. I hate any course that has any water, cliff, or otherwise.
He's gonna find it.
Yeah, no,
He's a heat-seeking missile for water hazards.
I'll tell you what. If you ever need to find a well, call.
He's a willow branch. We call him the Eric Van Rooyen, the Dutch willow branch. He will find you water.
But for DD, I will say I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. I don't mind his skill set. And I guarantee 3 rounds of Van Rooyen. Like he does have the scoring prowess. So, I don't hate the play. There's just a lot of guys, especially in DFS, that I think I would rather play just because he's one of those guys that will earn you birdies, but he'll give back the points.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part with him. So I'll probably be a fade on Van Rooyen.
I mean, I'm looking at guys here that are surprisingly not chalky. Drew Lipsky at 8,200. Detree's on fire right now, and he's in that kind of that upper echelon group of chalk, but not like overly chalky.
Love Detree. If we're getting into the 8s,
yeah, I thought we were.
Yeah,
we were talking about a guy in the 8s.
Was I?
Yeah.
Oh, Knob Creek. So yeah, no, Detree, they're projecting around give or take 12%, which I like, especially for a guy that's been playing quite well.
85.6 DraftKings points average. That's fantastic.
And that's the thing, right? He scores.
Yep.
Let's see.
Lipsky hasn't been scoring, but we still like him because his recent form leads us to believe that he's going to score this week. We're praying.
Lipsky actually like statted out okay for me.
Yeah.
I was trying to pull it back up because I was still searching for Davis Thompson. I thought I missed something.
No, he's not there. Keep looking. Your boy Kiz is in this group.
Oh, I'm having some rosters with some kids on them. Not because
especially on this type of course where it's the distance doesn't even matter.
What was I looking at for you here? Lipsky. So Lipsky, the big things that I want to mention about Lipsky, number 5 in the field from the 100 to 125 range that you talked about. He's now actually number 4 in that opportunities game metric where we're getting good looks at below par scoring. Number 6 overall and just overall approach from any distance. The thing that kind of is turning me off a smidge to him is he doesn't score a ton of DK points all the time. Like he's 56th in the field.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit concerning in a tournament that we're getting 3 full days. There are going to be guys that will score more DK points than Lipsky over 3 days, even if Lipsky plays the 4th day.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. Is I like him, but I don't love him. Like I'll throw a bet on him because he's the kind of guy that can push a leaderboard, but when he doesn't, he's just a par machine. And in DFS, the pars don't pay the bills.
Yeah, he's just kind of there, right? I mean, it's not like he's doing anything offensive, but he's just not really making any money for you.
Yeah, it's really streaky.
Ben Griffin, who will be about 18%.
That's disgusting for me. I'm full fading Ben Griffin.
It is disgusting, but he does rate out 4th in my model. He's excellent on approach, excellent at putting. There's just not a whole lot to poke holes in Ben Griffin's game, and he's on fire. So I think at the end of the week, especially once you start adding in some of the casuals, I think that's a guy that may go a little more overlooked than some of the guys around him that are already trending at that 15, 16, 17% range. So he may end up shaking out to be a little less owned than the rest of the guys in that
I hope so, but at that 18% for him, it's just way too much for me.
It does seem a little rich, but I've played him every week, so I don't know that I want to be there when he does.
But look at, just as hot, Dean Burmester is just as hot, and he's not going to get any attention, and $200 less.
Yeah, I can definitely check while you're talking about your next guy. I can definitely check and tell you exactly where.
So I'm gonna slip down into the high 7s because you got your boy Davis Riley there, you got your boy Webb there. I got my guys Sung Young Kim and Kurt Kitayama there at 76 and 75. This 7s group is loaded too.
Why you got to make Webb my boy?
Because I hate the guy hasn't played well in 3 years.
It just seems foul that he's now my boy. But no, I get
He's
you.
your boy. you picked him 3 weeks ago, and he was like almost dead fucking last.
Yeah, so, it wasn't a good outing, that's for sure.
And I was saying, hey, if he doesn't play well, he's officially dust. And I had a heavy suspicion that he was dust, and then he confirmed that he was dust.
One more time. Until Harbortown, and then I'll play him at Harbortown.
Right, yeah, you should. You got your boy Knox down here, 75. I like Knox too, though.
Yeah, I love Knox. Knox will be pretty heavy. He is creeping up 14, 15%. I did want to go back to who was the guy you had me check ownership on because it's super low.
Burmester.
Yeah, 2% projected.
Oh, that's spectacular.
So that's a great pivot point.
That's your leverage. Value.
Yeah. So yeah, write that one down. That's a really good play, Bo. Yeah, Russell Knox.
Thank you.
Justin Lauer and Callum Tarrant down there 7,200.
Oh, come on. Callum Tarrant, get out of here. Get out of here.
What are you going to say about Callum Tarrant? He played fine last tournament. He's
Yeah, because
$7,200
it was a
in this
bomber
field.
course and he's a long hitter and he still fizzled out. He didn't win anybody anything last week. And we're still talking about the guy. What is the point of talking about Callum Tarrant when he never does anything?
Good at scrambling, good at shot scan around the green.
He's good at scrambling because he can't find a fairway.
Also scores DK points in the top 20 for DK points generated over the last 24 rounds, which isolates some of those one-offs at the tail end of last season when our boy Seth was cashing in on him.
I don't know, man. He's getting outscored in fantasy points by all my guys down here. So
I don't know. Then you can hate on Callum Tarrant. I was just throwing it out there. But Justin Lauer actually is somebody that we've brought up a couple of weeks in a row.
he keeps doing it.
Doing a lot of really good things. Ranks out 11th in my modeling, which I told you is kind of a gross model. I kind of isolated some not so sexy stats, but 4th overall for putting. He's 18 in scrambling. He's 20th in DK points, 13 in birdies or better gained, which was actually kind of surprising for me with Justin Lauer. And his proximity from the key distance is excellent. He's getting good looks at birdie. So that all kind of checks out. And I think that he's probably going to be one of the lower owned in that region.
Yeah, I'll see you a lower and raise you a Kevin Streelman, who seems to own Pebble Beach at $100 less, 7,100. He doesn't seem to play very well anywhere else, but every year Pebble Beach Pro-Am comes around and Kevin Streelman finds himself on the leaderboard. So I will play some Kevin Streelman, especially down there where he's not going to get any love. And I don't see any reason why you should have to spend below that level because there's only a couple guys that I even want to sprinkle into my pool down here.
I don't know if that's fair. I did want to talk about DD's question about Mav though, and we did kind of gloss over Mav. As far as DFS was concerned, we touched on him with betting a little bit.
Yeah.
I like Mav in general. He's actually number one over the last 24 rounds in putting. He's number one in any kind of scrambling metric you look at. He's in the top 10 for DK points scored, and he's number one for bogey avoidance. So you're probably asking, like, why am I not hammering Mav? And the biggest reason I'm not hammering Mav on DFS or betting, his odds are too short, and DFS, I can't do 25% Mav McNeely. I just can't. I can't get there. And he's one of those guys. Guilty pleasure. I just, in transparency, I do play a lineup with a lineup or two with Mav every week, just because I'm a fan. But he's far too chalky at far too high a price this week, and on the betting side, same deal. Just far too short a number for Mav, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. And there's so many guys in that area that you can get for a lot less chalk that they're going to have similar metrics. So when there's an easy pivot point in DFS, you take it. That's my simple answer over there. Is like I did with Burmester. Is like, why play the chalky guy in the same bracket when you can be different with a guy that's just as hot and only going to 2% on Dean Burmester? That's fantastic.
Yeah, that actually.
Nobody watched this show.
That actually surprised me too. Bo, you know Underdog a little better than I do. Do you know what Jamie's asking?
I think she's doing a draft, maybe for the rest of the season. But
rank these guys.
Yeah, maybe for rest of season. I'm not sure because none of these guys are at Pebble Beach this week.
I'd go McIlroy, Rahm, Morikawa, Thomas, Cantlay, Scheffler.
I would go Rahm, McIlroy, Morikawa, Cantlay, Scheffler, Thomas. I think JT's going to have a kind of a down year, but Cantlay's always there. And then the top guys are the top guys for a reason. They're going to put some, like, especially Underdog, I think you're going to include the majors. They're more heavily weighted. So McIlroy and Rahm, they got to be up there at the top.
Yeah, for sure. Rahm is just proving that he's an absolute beast. under pressure. I mean, last few weeks just coming out of nowhere, storming, winning. And then McIlroy, first tournament of the year, goes out and shit stomps that turd Patrick Reed.
Yeah, sue us.
So,
and he cheated along the way. It shouldn't have been that close.
Yeah, and I think everybody that watches this show knows I'm a huge Rory McIlroy fan, favorite golfer. And I am biased a little bit, but I will say, like, I think he's out for blood this year, and he's pissed
and
off.
He's got the ability to back it up.
Yeah, so I think this may be one of the best McIlroy seasons that we've ever seen. So I'm
Patrick Reed isn't just one of the most unlikable golfers; he's one of the most unlikable people in golf.
Like, I used to like him a little bit, but no,
I didn't. I mean, ever since he had his shining moment as the Ryder Cup winner, where we rooted for him then because he was playing for Team USA and he was playing well, beat a couple guys in match play, made some clutch putts. But after that, you're like, okay, you look at before that Ryder Cup with all the rules, controversies, and how he got kicked out of a couple colleges, and then he made his way on tour because he's really talented, and then he's just a prick that nobody likes. So it's like, why root for a guy that you don't like when there's so many nice guys like Morikawa and Homa and Joel Damon? Like these guys are out there being good human beings and
Tom
not
Kim
suing everybody for looking at them funny and throwing live teas at them for ignoring them.
Yeah, I mean, I got to side with Rory too. Anybody who gets served subpoena papers on Christmas Eve, like, get out of here. I don't care if it was Reed's lawyers that did it or not. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's too much. He's not likable. So, you have anybody below 7K that you're going to throw out there besides your guy that you seem to want to play every week?
I'm actually not throwing him out.
Nico.
I'd throw $5 on the bet, but I'm not playing Nico again this week. Nico has had his run.
Oh yeah, it was nice to get a Venmo payment on Saturday for my Tano Goya call. That dude was pushing the lead for a while. I was like, "Damn, Tano, look at you go!" I just thought you were gonna make the cut.
You'll also note that I doubled your beer money.
You did. It's California. The beers do cost $10 here.
We can get a bucket of Coors Light for $10 here.
Well, a bucket here is at least $18.
It's actually in reality not that much cheaper here, but I know we got our football show later on, so I won't drag it out too much. But actually, I did want to hit on Mark Hubbard at 7K.
Yes.
This is the type of tournament that I like. Mark Hubbard. This is another guy that's a field play, but I like the headspace on Mark Hubbard for this. He's a fun guy.
Short game.
Well, not only that, but like, he's a fun guy playing with the AMs. He'll play the slower pace. Like, he's not a speed golfer.
He's one of the funniest Canadians out there.
And at 7K, I mean, we've talked about Mark Hubbard enough times. Like, the guy can go on these birdie streaks that'll just blow your mind. So, I do like Hubbard, and to back Bo up, he's number 4 in my modeling for approach. So, the boy is striping it quite well. And then sub 6, no, there's not a whole lot that I want to throw darts at, but I did have 2 that popped kind of strange. Some you'll know. I've gotten sucked into this before, so I'm doing it like very sparingly, but I will have some lineups with him. And the big thing that I noticed with him is excellent from that wedge range. So he's a really, really good wedge player, and that actually stacks with his scrambling statistics and his around the green game. So I like that. And then he's also number 6 in this field for putting, which I think those are going to be some pretty important metrics this week. So something you'll know at 6,800, I think is pretty good. And then Eric Cole is another guy that has a very similar skill set, who's actually been popping quite a bit in the first few tournaments of this season, and he's also at 6,800. So very, very similar skill set, similar guy, a little better finishing positions, I think, so far this year.
Yeah, and I didn't find too many guys I like down here, which is why I went heavy on 8s and 7s, so I wouldn't have to. But I do like Tano Goya again this week because he's just on a heater. The guy makes birdies in bunches. We saw that when he shot 64 on Thursday last week.
God, that was crazy, and you called that. Yeah, I give you that victory lap. I won't even make fun of you.
And then of course the random guy that popped up in my model last week that popped up again this week, and I just threw him out there in my player pool. I didn't see how much exposure. I ended up with 10 or 15% exposure to Satoshi Kodaira, the Japanese guy. He pops up again this week. Just a great short game, and he seems like when he plays longer courses, he doesn't even make the cut, but he could score here. He's averaging 60 fantasy points a week, so. Give me some Satoshi just to feel something.
Yeah,
makes me hungry. Makes me want some sushi.
Dude, I like Kodaira. I wish Kodaira would be more consistent because God, when he's on, he's good.
Yeah, Smotherman's another intriguing one, but he's not playing well this year.
Smotherman,
not a whole
Eckert,
lot down here that I'm a big fan of.
Smotherman, Eckert, and Riley, like people we were high on tail end of last season. Like I don't
tailed
know.
off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see a little bit more out of them before I start going back in on them. Davis Riley is probably the one that I might dabble in this week, but the other two I'm not on.
And random, not in the model, but shout out NorCal play Kevin Chappell. He's not very good. He's barely clinging to his card, but I just think he might be able to pull something out this week.
I always like Chappell. He's a Mark Hubbard type of guy. I just like to cheer for him.
Well, he's a NorCal guy. Of course, it's gonna be he's fun.
God, I just wanted to get you up to 25 NorCal mentions.
I'm trying. I'm trying to find these other guys down at the bottom from here. Oh, Nick Watney from Davis, California, right down the road from me. He grew up playing the same Muni course that I play every week now.
So what do you want? What do you want? Goya versus Cole? What do you want this week?
Yeah, let's do Goya versus Cole because they're the same price, roughly. They're $100 apart.
All right, I'll take Cole.
Okay. Well, I knew you were gonna take Cole.
I'll take Goya.
So, parting words. Nick Watney actually had the same caddy as Morikawa does now, JJ Jakovac, who was the NCAA champion at Chico State, where I went. And that was I tried out for the team, and he was the top golfer in the nation for D2. And so, needless to say, I didn't think I was going to make that team, so I didn't continue my tryout. I played one tryout round and shot 77 or something, and he went out there the same day and shot 67. And I was like, you know what? I'm not good enough to play collegiate golf, especially on the same team as the guy who's literally the national champion, and now he was the caddy for Nick Watney and is now the caddy for Colin Morikawa.
It's amazing. It's amazing when you play with guys though that are at that level. It's
he's a lefty like me. JJ was, so it's just phenomenal to watch a guy that good.
My dad and my middle brother are both lefties, and I don't know how the hell you guys play from that side of the ball. First off, but
we're a little weird. It's hard to find clubs, so you have to find clubs and stick with them longer. Like I've had my same putter for at least 15 years.
That's one thing in my bag I don't change often. I find a putter and I stay. Hot or cold, I stay with it.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Jingle the bell for notifications. This is 19th Hole Live on In Between Media. Thanks for joining us, Dee Dee and P-Rog over there from the Browns line. He's been tailing my picks, and thankfully I've been picking well lately. So thanks for following us, Jamie and Dee Dee and everybody else. Craig, if you watch the replay, start drinking now.